When a tornado siren sounds, your circumstances dictate the questions asked.
The sirens started going off, but we've heard that a million times and didn't expect it to come over the hill and come down this way. So I ignored it.
If you have a storm shelter, when do you get in it?
We made it down to the basement and had to call 911 to get rescued because all of the power lines and everything were right here. The tree was here. We couldn't get out of the house.
If not,
we don't have a cellar. We did have a tornado hit our house. I think it was in 2011.
where do you go?
The one place that you could go to was the hospital because Sulphur doesn't really have any shelters now.
If you work at dispatch,
911, what's your emergency?
but the one question everyone asks, is my family safe?
I did get the kids ready in case we had to go over to the bathroom, which we thought would be the safe spot.
With a tornado headed their way,
The third time the fire runoffs, there was a complete change in the atmosphere. Everything felt different. It sounded different. And I realized that we might be actually going to get hit here in just a few.
Jennifer Johnston and Vicki Skidmore's focus was on their kids and their grandkids.
So I went inside and told the kids to go to the hallway, which is in the center of the house, where we ended up in the bathroom, though, which is right off of the hallway. And when I went to shut the door when I came in, it was just pulling. It was just sucking that door.
So it looked like every room had a mini tornado in it.
Skidmore loaded her grandkids into her car to meet her mother at the hospital. Little did they know the EF3 tornado would hit her mom's house just minutes after their reunion.
It seemed like it lasted forever, and it sounded like a war zone.
The initial relief across Sulphur was quickly met with a renewed fear when a second line of storms sent Jennifer, her 29-year-old son, and his 8-year-old daughter outside in the path of danger.
Getting out of the house was pretty difficult. We had to climb over, carried the kids over all of the furniture and broken walls and debris, and got them out of the dining room here. And then we came across the yard, which was just covered in, just trees. And
Jennifer and her kids trekked through heavy rain and debris, trying to find a safer shelter for her and her kids.
we went to Uncle Benny's, and he opened the door and rushed us to the cellar, which his house was torn to shreds as well, but he made us a path to the cellar in the back, and I had to lift part of his roof off of the cellar door.
Their second stop protected them from the storm until water rushed in.
And there's a big open window in one end of it, and by the time we came out of there, which was probably another 45 minutes, maybe even an hour, the water was almost waist deep.
Once storm subsided, Johnston and her kids were on to their next stop, but not before being smacked in the face with the realization of what had happened outside Uncle Denny's house.
But then we got out and got to a safer area because this was absolutely destroyed down here. Trees and debris and power lines and water, and it was awful.
Back at the hospital, Vicki Skidmore and her grandkids' night was just beginning, where the phone rang around 10:30. On the other end, her brother, Kenneth.
And he said, Vicki, I don't know what's going on.
Legally blind, Kenneth was struggling to comprehend what he had just lived through.
He said there was an explosion, and he said, I think part of the ceiling came down. It's on my face.
She loaded her grandkids back in her car and headed back to check on her brother.
And we got in there, and I was talking to him, and he realized that it was not his ceiling, it was glass that was all on his face.
Skidmore quickly recognized these injuries, while traumatic, paled in comparison to what could have been.
But it knocked those, and one of them, a piece of it broke off about this long and flew in through the window, and it pierced his bed. And how it did not get him, I don't know. I had him hold his hands out, and I said, Kenneth, hold your hands out. He did, and I laid the wood shaft across his hands. And he said, what is this? And I said, this was pierced into your bed. So I really don't understand how come you're not dead. I really don't.
At the same time, Vicki's mother's house took a direct hit and was destroyed.
If she had been there, she would be dead. So I'm just glad that she was in the hospital. So that's 2 of my family members that I believe miracles happened. So it just basically destroyed the inside of the house. It looked like every room had a mini tornado in it. You know,
Both families' lives were forever changed on April 27th, 2024.
We've moved to Ada. We're in a little town a little ways away from here.
The tornado happened in 3 minutes, but yet here we are months later and we're still suffering.
As they work to rebuild, the questions from that night have been replaced with, what's next?
Everybody all passed the word around the neighborhood. And then all of a sudden people started coming in with chainsaws. People just showed up that I knew, people I didn't even know. And just the kindness of strangers. I mean, I cannot imagine a stranger being that kind.
And the certainty of how they'll react when that tornado siren sounds again.
Go to the cellar, find a safe spot,